Well, good morning. As Scott said, my name is Stennis Shotts. My lovely wife is sitting right down here. And I'm going to try to get through this without crying, but I'll do the best I can. But anyway, we have a 34-year-old daughter that has actually, when she was young, she made 2 professions of faith. A lot of people say that's because I'm an Aggie from Mississippi. It took me a long time to explain the salvation message to her. But anyway, she did it when she was very young, and then at 17, and she's 34 now. She went to college and then moved to California. 2 things that do not build your faith in God. And we've had a lot of conversations over the last several years about, is God real? Is heaven real? You know, what is this all about? Well, my message to you is what I told her. I can promise you 3 things this morning. God is real. He's in the miracle business. I'm calling it Saving Tuesday. We had Healing Sunday. We had Saving Tuesday. And then the third thing is, when it talks about, you know, God promises us trials, right? But he also promises us peace. And I want to talk about the peace that we had in the middle of a trial. So we live right at the, I guess you call it the epicenter now. We live right at the corner of where the Llano and Colorado come together. We used to look at the 2900 bridge. So that'll put it in perspective. So excuse me, I woke up, and I don't wake up early. For those of you that know me, I'm not an early bird. But for whatever reason, God woke me up on Tuesday morning about 5:45. And I always have a habit, and of course it's a mature male thing. I had to go to the restroom. But anyway, I looked out the window, and I saw a tree go by. And I saw water just starting to come up on my deck. Well, if you remember the week before, we kind of had the same situation. So I wasn't that, concerned about it, but I put my clothes on, put my coat, and you got to visualize this because this is important later. I had some sleep pants on, a T-shirt. I put a jacket on, and I had some shoes I've slipped on. By the time I get down there, I start moving, thinking I'm just going to move some furniture. I start picking the furniture up. A wave comes in, and my refrigerator hits me in the back. And I'm thinking, okay, this is not good. So there was a knife on the counter, so I grabbed it. I cut the water cord, the water tube to the refrigerator, unplugged it, because it was banging up against the wall, so I pushed it out in the river just to get it out so it didn't do any more damage. So I quickly said, this is all done. I mean, all the furniture's gone. It's floating. Now, 6 feet higher is my garage. So we go up there. By this time, I run upstairs. I wake Kim up, and we have 2 friends visiting from North Carolina who will never come back to Texas for the rest of their life. I can assure you, the Texas border now, there's a border wall. It's around Texas for them. They will never be back. So anyway, I get upstairs. I'm thinking, you're going through this evaluation process in your head. Okay, the 2 things that are important, I got a generator and a pressure washer. Because I'm not thinking it's going to get any higher. Your mind just can't comprehend what's happening. So we pull those out. By this time, the gentleman's name's Bo. We call him Mr. Bo. He's a good Southerner, and Mr. Bo Calloway. So Mr. Bo's down there, and we're moving stuff out. All of a sudden, a wave comes through. Well, that's gone. Then I said, okay, truck and car. So I get the truck out, I get the car out, but when I'm coming back, the water now is coming in front of my house. And it's just coming in kind of waves. And Jim Luther showed up. I don't know if he's here this morning or he's going to be in the next service, but I don't know where this guy came from. He's a county commissioner for us, and I look up, and he's standing next to me. And this is 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, by then, Kim and Mr. Bo are coming out of the house. Pam's still upstairs. She's trying to get phones and other things like that. So I didn't even realize I did this, but I walked across to meet Bo and Pam, and when I got to Kim, I grabbed her by the back of her coat, right at her neck. And I don't know how big the wave was. It was big enough that it washed us over a 4-foot fence. But it washed all 3 of us into the house next door, which is about 30 yards away. So we hit the house, Kim and I did. Mr. Bo is out in the river. He's gone. So, now this is all happening, in 10 or 15 seconds. So when I hit the wall, we spun around, and we grabbed onto a pillar underneath a pool next to us. The planks were gone. It washed all the planks off, but there was 2 pillars holding the pool up. I've got one, she's got the other, and I've got her by the back of the collar. And we're absolutely horizontal. In fact, it pulled my pants off. And that'll be important later. But it pulled my pants off. So anyway, and the water's, 55 degrees, 60 degrees? And I'm holding there, and we have time to, you can't hardly hear because it's so loud, the water. But I look over at her, and I said, this is probably 30, 45 seconds. We're 8 feet of water. Thank God. Think about this. Nothing hit us. Another God thing. Nothing came through and hit us. And I'd seen boats, everything in the world coming through. Knives. Think about all the stuff that's in the water. So anyway, I look over at her and said, well, baby, I love you, and I'll see you in heaven. And when the minute I said that, my heart got so hot that I just thought I was on fire, and I had a peace that I have never had in my life. And the only thing I could think about is my mama. She died 12 years ago. And I thought, I'm going to see my mama today. And for a split second, I thought, just let go. Because this is so cool. I'm like, I never felt this before. Heaven is awesome. I'm like, let's just do this. Get it over with. Let's move on. The minute that thought hit my mind, the water went down. And it said, all I heard in my head was go. And I still had the back of her collar, and I could see a fence. It had gotten down enough. There's an iron fence that we had washed over that I was able to get to, and I was able to pull us up high enough. The first responders there, Jim Luther was there. He called the first responders, and they got. I don't even remember jumping in the water. They jumped in the water, and I don't remember any of that. All I remember is getting out. Now, at this point, remember, Mr. Bo's gone. He's, we're thinking we are distraught because we're thinking we invited our best friends to North Carolina and killed him. He's died in a flood. We can't handle it. Unbeknownst to us, right before the water got really high, one of my life jackets floated up to Mr. Bo and was hitting his leg. And he said it's like it was just following him. Everywhere he went, the life jacket was there. He says, okay, I'll put it on. So he put a life jacket on. That's a miracle. So God is real. God is in the miracle business, saving Tuesday. And the peace that I had, I wished I could bottle that and give it to you right now. Because I have never felt anything like that. But Mr. Bo washed down about 300 yards. Now again, he's in the raging river, and it pushed him up into a pool, a little calm pool. And Mr. Bo has early onset Parkinson's, so he takes a lot of medication, and he's real weak. So he laid there, he said, for probably 15 minutes, and finally was able to crawl up to the road. Now, this is just, funny stories. That's why I love Scott and his sense of humor. I think laughter is one of the greatest medicines God could ever do. So a first responder came by, and Bo's waving at him. He said he waved at him and drove by. But go figure. But anyway, Jim Luther drives by and picks him up. So, he obviously lived through it. He had to get 5 bags of fluids. He had hypothermia. He went in the hospital, spent about a half a day. Now, Pam's still in the house. And I don't know if y'all saw the video of a lady backing out of a window. Well, that was the front of my house. That was her. Now, only thing she said that people get to see of her is her butt. And Mr. Bo doesn't say a lot. He's really quiet, but he looked at her and he said, well, everything's bigger in Texas. And she did not appreciate that comment. I will tell you that. So anyway, we get Mr. Bo out. He goes to the hospital. We get Pam out through the game wardens. Kim and I go over to Davey Haber shows up. We're in the back of did you know you can't open the door when you're in a cop car? I didn't know that. But when they put you in the back of it, you can't get out. So anyway, Davey Haber shows up, who's in my real life group, another God thing, picks us up and takes us over to his house, which is where we have our real life group. So we get there. He's called, in advance. So I walk in, and Debbie's standing there with a towel, and she's kind of looking at me funny. And that's when I realized I don't have any pants on. So we took our real life group to a whole nother level that I don't recommend you take it to. So, Bo's safe, Pam's safe, we're over at Davey and Debbie's. And then the real life group comes around us. Mark Kincaid and Cheryl. In fact, I've got it. Look at the screens. I've got a couple of photos for you. Now, Mark, I love Mark because he's a multitasker. He doesn't waste any time. If he's got business to take care of, he takes care of that business and eats and moves on. And the next photo, Cheryl learned that when you use a pressure washer, you don't go too high because it'll rain back down on top of you. But Mark and Cheryl and Mark Strachey and Davey and Debbie, I mean, the whole real life group just rallied around us. And it's just, we got, and Ryan Haber, our builder, Showcase Builders, within 48 hours, he was over there and had all the mud out of our house. And we had everything demoed within 3 days. And that's just because of the love that they have for us and for God. So, my story to you today is just very simple. God is real. God is in the miracle business because he saved us. There's no reason we should be, and certainly Mr. Bo. If you didn't like, I told my daughter, if you didn't like the miracle about us, think about Mr. Bo. I mean, that is a God miracle right there. And then the fact that just the peace that he gives us, those aren't just words in Philippians. Those are real words that mean something, and that peace is something that I will never, ever forget. And I just look so forward to seeing my mama one day because I almost got to see her, but it just wasn't that time yet. So anyway, thank you for your time this morning. God bless.